Okay, so we are going to start off with an evening check-in. On a scale of how I met your mother, tell me how you are feeling today.
Hmm.
Marshall.
Which one? Which one?
With the inverse mohawk.
All right. I'm feeling a little Ted Mosby.
Okay. How about you, Steve?
I'm feeling the Marshall on the middle right
Fair enough.
because it's
All
been a rough work week.
That's
Rough.
valid.
I agree. I'm feeling that feeling the Ted. It's been a week with teaching. Feeling the Ted. All right. So we are going to then dive into our lesson. We're going to talk about reading nutrition labels. Okay. So what we're going to do is first we're going to talk about the important aspects of the nutrition label and kind of talk about the things to focus on. And then we will compare two different food options. And then we'll kind of dive into the end about our application. So the first thing, what are some things you notice on the food label?
Calories.
Calories. Okay. Anybody else?
Total fat.
Total fat.
The carbs.
Carbs. Okay. So we're going to talk about a lot of those things that you just mentioned. The first one we're going to talk about is the serving size on a nutrition label. So this could be different for anything you eat. If you're eating, like, for example, mac and cheese, one container is what you're focusing on. And then if you were to eat like a bag of chips, it would be more of like how many cups or how many ounces. So serving size is very important to look at. And then calories, which Mitchell mentioned, is very important to notice. Does anybody know what calories are?
They make you grow.
Like by definition?
Just what do you think calories are? What's an easy or simple way that you know to put it?
Calories are a macronutrient that you need to survive in a day.
Okay. Yeah. So a simple way to put it is how much energy or a food or drink provides. So, for example, kids who are active need more calories to give them energy to stay up with their activities. Whereas if you eat too many calories, it can also lead to weight gain. So, calories are important, but we also need to learn to monitor and limit our calories too. Okay. So, another thing we're going to talk about is our total fat. Total fat is important to just pay attention on the nutrition label. And then we're also going to talk about sodium. So, sodium in your foods, on average, should a person prefer a low amount of sodium or a high amount of sodium?
Low.
Yes, you are correct. Sodium is important for our body to have, but too much can cause like high blood pressure and different health issues. So we want to focus on keeping our sodium low. And total sugars is very important, going along with the carbohydrate aspect, but then also focusing on sugar for kids, making sure you're not eating too much sugar. And you'll see in our next one that sometimes sugar can be very, very high in certain foods that we don't notice. And then protein. Protein is important for our bodies to grow. So we want to make sure that we are getting enough protein in our diet. And then depending on what you're eating, how much protein you should have in it. So is there anything from this mac and cheese label that surprises you? Whether it's the calories or what do you see?
It's a lot of sodium.
Mhm. I
I feel like
agree.
7 grams of protein is like pretty good for.
Mac and cheese.
Jeez,
So,
It's a surprisingly high amount of protein.
so what you're telling me is, if I want to eat Kraft mac and cheese, I need to sweat a lot during the day, and then I can replenish my body with the high protein mac and
Correct.
cheese.
Well, the sodium is going to make you retain water, isn't it?
But you can still sweat that out, though. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, fair.
Because like if you think about like electrolytes, like that's high in sodium too. So if you're sweating a lot and like losing a lot of salt or like from your sweat, then you got to replenish that to like help hydrate yourself. I believe, right, Teacher Sonia?
You're right. That's true. You are both correct. Okay, we're gonna go on to our next part. So every decision we make, every food we eat, there are so many different choices, so many different options, different brands. So we're gonna compare 2 protein bars today. So we're gonna look at a Cliff Bar, which is on the left, and then a Quest Bar, which is on the right. So first, we're going to look at the serving size. The serving size is the same if you eat 1 bar. The only difference is one is 68 grams versus 60 grams. So you're getting a little bit more out of that Cliff Bar. What does somebody else notice that is different between the 2?
The protein amount.
The protein amount is a big difference. So your protein on your Cliff Bar is 9, and then your protein on the Quest Bar, does anybody see what protein that is? How many?
21.
21 grams. So if you're looking for a protein bar, which one's your better option?
Quest.
Quest, yes. So you are getting more, way more protein out of that one. And then calories on, it's not a huge difference, but it is 60 calories of compared to the Cliff Bar to the Quest Bar. So just paying attention to that. And then total fat isn't a big difference either. It's only 2 grams difference. So that's not a huge impact. And then sodium, 230 for your Cliff Bar and then 200 for your Quest Bar. So not a big difference on that one either. And then the total sugars, that is also a huge difference. So how many grams of sugar is in your Cliff Bar?
17.
17. And then how many in your Quest?
1.
Okay, so kind of the obvious healthy answer on that one. And then we already talked about your protein. So that's the biggest thing. If you're looking at protein bars and you see that big of a difference, you should probably notice which one you should pick, even based on the healthier options on the Quest Bar in general. So we're going to do a little, you can be honest, not just based on the health, but maybe you've had a Cliff Bar versus a Quest Bar and you like one better. If you prefer the Cliff Bar, you're going to put your hands on your head. And if you prefer the Quest Bar, you're going to put your hands on your shoulders. And you can be honest. If you like the Cliff Bar because it tastes better, go for it. Nice.
Food is fuel.
Shoulder.
Food is. You are correct.
I will say though, in my defense, for the Cliff Bar, it's not really a taste thing. I just never really looked at the labels. So this is super interesting because I always thought Cliff was like, the like top tier.
That's
what they market. That's what they marketed it as.
Yeah.
I agree because Cliff Bar, whenever I read that and saw it was only 9 grams of protein, I was kind of shocked.
Yeah, pretty bummed out.
The sugar was the biggest for me. Like they kind of advertise like, "Oh, protein bar, we're healthy," and then it's like, bam, lots of sugar, and it's like, okay,
isn't Cliff more for recovery, like active working out, like a intra workout kind of snack, whereas a Quest Bar is more of a recovery snack? So with an intra, you're still burning calories, and then a Quest is more of like a post workout. So I guess they're kind of geared towards different activities.
I don't know if they specifically like target market those things though. I think they just kind of advertise as protein bars overall.
Yeah.
But that's a good way to look at it because that's kind of how you could put them into use.
Yeah, because then, I mean, that sugar would be really helpful if you're in the middle of an activity.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very true. Depends on your
on the label. So activity, you can use those sugars to get some energy.
I don't know. I just see the commercials of people rock climbing and biking, and I'm like, oh yeah, Cliff Bar, all right. And then like post workout, gym lunks, and they're like, all right, Quest, the whole way. So I don't know. That's just what I see.
No, I agree. I see both sides. So the last thing we're gonna do, even though we're looking at labels, obviously you have like the healthy options, the healthier options. We are going to talk about how it can impact everything we do. So food is fuel. But then also it doesn't just impact like what we do, but then also how we feel. So how we feel, how we focus, and how we perform in school, sports, work, in our case. So this next part, you're gonna write in your class journal. Okay, I put in air quotes because you don't have to write anything down at the moment. Okay, but you're gonna think of a snack that you had recently. How did it make you feel after you ate it? Were you energized, tired, full? Were you hungry in the next 10 minutes? Um, and then do you think future you should eat the same snack or something else? If you eat the same snack, why did you continue to eat it? And then if you change your snack, what would you change it to? So that's your little food for thought. You would write it in your class journal if we had one. And then we will talk about it next week. But if someone wants to share just really quick if they would keep their snack or change their snack, you don't have to say why, but you can explain if you want to keep it or change it.
Well, I don't know if this has anything to do with it. It kind of does. I don't know. So my job requires me to sit at a desk all day. And so I think I eat because I'm bored sometimes. So I do eat breakfast, and then I'll eat lunch, and then I'll eat dinner like normal. But I like Cheez-Its and Goldfish. And that is that's my kryptonite. It's not unhealthy, but it's not the greatest choice. I think I could do vegetables, maybe some fruit here and there, things that are filler and they're healthy. Because I will find myself eating through an entire bag of Goldfish and then eat lunch. So, it happens.
It does.
I think I'll keep that snack just because I like it a lot.
Guilty.
We've all been there.
Yeah, we've all had that.
But I probably should change it to something a little more nutritious.
That's fair. Anybody else want to share if they'd keep or change their snack?
I eat yogis at work, like between breakfast and lunch, just kind of because I hit a midday hunger around 10:30, so I have my little packet of yogis. It's like a yogurt ball or like a fruit ball covered in yogurt. It's low calorie, has some good sugars in there to keep the energy up. So I would probably keep that just because it's fruit based, but it could be a little high in sugar depending on how you look at it. So, but I'm also on my feet moving through a warehouse all day, so it definitely helps because I'm burning extra calories there.
So I have recently switched this is more of a morning snack, how I start my day. I've recently switched from Pop-Tarts to a protein Pop-Tart. But I will say I'm very interested to look at the labels now because not that the regular Pop-Tarts are better than the protein Pop-Tarts, but I'm interested to see if
How
the
much
protein Pop-Tart I switched to is actually doing what I'm hoping it's doing instead of because this is a protein Pop-Tart, I'm just gonna do that. So now I'm interested to see what my label looks like. So thank you, Sonia, for opening my eyes to the labels. Fake news of the protein snacks. So,
I'd be interested to know the different nutritional qualities of those because I'm a Pop-Tart guy, so
love Pop-Tarts.
Is a protein Pop-Tart better? I'd be interested.
Which one tastes better?
Honestly, the protein one isn't bad. I would still take regular Pop-Tarts over the protein Pop-Tart.
So it's probably worse for you.
Yeah, maybe. Probably. It's a good rule of thumb.